Alright, welcome back to my channel. Today we have JJ back on the show to talk about property again because I know you all have watched the previous property episodes, quite well received. That's why today we are going to answer another important question on property, specifically whether you should upgrade your HDB to a condo lah. That's why today I have JJ with me to answer some important questions, whether you all should upgrade. And we're not going to look at all the very superficial surface thing, like you just want a better lifestyle. There's much more than that, alright? So I think JJ, let's start the ball rolling, especially in your field, in your industry, right? What are some common things that people look out for when they're considering whether they want to upgrade from their HDB after the MOP period?
I think the first thing is that there is always reasons to upgrade and there's always reasons to not upgrade. So it really depends on the individual. So let's split it into two parts. Let's just talk about the reasons why you could potentially upgrade first. So the first thing is location, right? When we first bid for our BTO or when we first get a resale flat, at that time, we probably just started working, just got married and things like that. We might not have the budget or the ability to buy the location that we actually really want to stay in, right? And especially for BTO like yourself, you know that you bid and then you just have to get the location that was allocated, sort of, right?
Maybe I share a bit of story. When you BTO, right, you can only select one single location within that one selection period. So it's like you really need to pick the best one out of it. And sometimes maybe the next few selections, the next few exercises, you realize that actually there are much better choices, but you cannot change really because it's an irreversible decision. Then maybe after your MOP 5 years, you realize that this estate may not be your ideal location. That's why you want to think about shifting lah.
Correct.
That's why we have this discussion.
Absolutely. So you want to consider the upgrading process as a way of shifting your location potentially, because now after 5 years or maybe 8 years or 10 years, you probably have progressed in your career, your income, your earning power is higher. You could potentially shift to a location that you really like. And some of these locations are a little bit more private housing heavy than HDB heavy, right? So that is a good reason to upgrade if you want to change of scenery basically.
Yeah, but change of scenery. Recently, I have seen this Reddit post like, why do people consider condo an upgrade? So there's a very interesting comment like, they don't face a lot of people knocking their doors, and then some people, their vehicles are really loud in a multi-story car park and making a lot of noises, which I tend to agree because HDB environment really is quite different from the way condo is structured. Condo is much more private. Catered. I mean, you cannot have people suddenly knocking on your door and then giving you out flyers and then selling you ice cream or something like that. Yeah, so it's really quite different for those of you who really want a change in environment like this.
I think it is pros and cons like with that, you pay for the security and the MCST fees is also much higher than you pay for the town council fees of a HDB, right? Yeah. So I think the other thing that is of very, very important consideration, whether you want to upgrade or not, is actually primary schools, right? Even if you're not to a condo, like upgrading to another HDB of a bigger size because of your kids, right? I think schools is a huge consideration to move within 1 km of the school that you want your kid to attend. And the 1 km radius will consist of certain HDBs and certain condos. And if the HDB flats there are not for sale because people don't really want to sell, then you kind of have to upgrade to a condo.
Which reminds me that when I was still working in corporate, some of these co-workers, they actually want to shift their houses or maybe rent some place that is nearer to a prestigious school. Now, at that point in time, I don't really understand why do we really need to do that. But now I kind of see the point. Even though every school is kind of a good school, but the environment is really different from a more prestigious school compared to a neighborhood school, so to speak. And that's what a lot of parents really focus on, which is why if you're considering a shift in location because of a school location, especially primary school, this may be something you want to look at, because in the past, maybe your past 5 years living in a BTO unit, you may not even thought of having kids yet. Then along the way, things change, you have family planning, and then your kid is going to school in a few years' time, then there's something you really need to consider, especially if you have a very high emphasis on your school's education. If you're looking for the best trading platform for US options, here are 3 good reasons to choose Webull Singapore. Number 1, low commissions. Webull is charging 55 US cents per options contract and 0 platform fees for US options trading. One of the lowest fees in the market, especially since July, they launched an options trading promo that reimburses all your options trading commission if you trade a minimum of 100 options contracts monthly, keeping more of your profits in your pocket. Number 2, advanced tools. Get comprehensive charting, real-time data, and powerful analytics to make smarter trades. For example, under the options tab, other than the options chain, you can see option statistics like volume distribution and volume analysis. There is also a probability analysis that can estimate the hypothetical prices at a given time. Plus, if you perform one US options trade, you can get 1 month free Opera market data. Number 3, user-friendly, perfect for both beginners and pros. The intuitive interface makes trading straightforward and efficient. For new to Weibo users, there are welcome promo rewards. Fund a minimum of $2,000, complete 3 US buy trades and maintain until 31st August 2024. And you can get $60 of cash vouchers. If you fund a minimum of $10,000, complete 5 US buy trades and maintain until 31st August 2024, you can get $400 worth of cash vouchers. And if you fund over $100,000, you can get 1.8% per annum USD Money Boo interest booster for 90 days, capped at $100,000 subscription. And this reward could elevate your USD Money Boo interest to up to 7%. There is an options trading promo for both new and existing users, where if you trade a minimum of 100 US options contracts monthly, you can get free commission on US options. Also, Weibo does not charge platform fees. Start trading options with Weibo by using my exclusive link or scan the QR code right here to get your Weibo account today.
And another reason why specifically primary school, right, is because primary school is where the education journey begins. And there's a lot of affiliations in Singapore. So as long as you get into the correct primary school, essentially whether you do very, very well or not as well in the primary school, you get the through train to the secondary school, the affiliated secondary school, and sometimes the JC as well. So it's like a one-time worry. You spend the money, you go and buy a solid house that's within the 1 km radius. Once you get into the good school, your kids just all the way JC, don't need to worry already. Yeah.
That is quite cool though.
So another reason why a lot of people choose to upgrade is because as a person living in an HDB, you are bounded by HDB's rules, right? You cannot do this, you cannot do that, and you're subjected to like the 5 years MOP. You're even subjected to who you can and cannot sell the property to, like the ethnic integration policy and the quota and everything. Whereas for a condo, one reason why people upgrade to a condo is because yes, there are still rules, but there are less rules, right? Like in HDB, like you not be able to keep cats. Now you can have 2 cats and 1 dog, right? But what if you want to have 2 huge dogs? Then, you cannot. You have to shift to a condo, right? Yeah, so I think condos rules are generally a little less restrictive. So if you want an upgrade in the sense where, you don't want to feel like you're very restricted by who you can even sell your property to, then condo is definitely an upgrade lah.
I have to interject one very funny news. I'm sure you posted about this sauna looking HDB unit.
Yes.
Recently hit the news a lot. So really, HDB don't do this kind of thing. You are using public space to build your own little hobby kind of thing. Not saying you can build lah.
Yeah, to be fair, condo also cannot lah.
Yeah. So if you really want to have that kind of more freedom, then maybe you should look outside of HDB lah, if you have the means and capacity to.
I think the most important thing is if you're looking at like the asset point of view, HDB, you are bounded by the 5 years MOP, and these days for certain prime BTOs, you're even bounded by the 10 years MOP. So in the condo, one of the more important points to take note is just the 3-year SSD period. You try not to sell within 3 years, if not that SSD can hit you quite hard. But apart from that, you can essentially sell to whoever you want and whenever you want.
Yeah. Okay, so what other things? Because I think some people live in condo for the prestige or they want to show off one. What other things can condo show off?
I think a lot of times, a lot of people, they tend to say that, I want to stay condo because I want the lifestyle. I want the swimming pool, I want the gym, I want the function room, which is a really good reason to upgrade if you really use those facilities, because you pay for those facilities, right? And if you are the kind of person that have gatherings very often, you book the function room very often, every day you go swimming, you go to the gym, then I think it's definitely worth considering an upgrade. But the question that I always pose to, my friends and my clients is, do you really use the amenities? Right? Like how many people do you know that stay in condo that really use the amenities?
Usually it's like the first 6 months. 6 months to 1 year max. Okay, then after that, it depends on maybe they have kids or not. If the kids, usually they go to the pool more often. Kids love to play water. But if for those without kids, don't think that they will go there very often. It's heavily underutilized. Yeah, I guess if you visit some Airbnb overseas in condo apartments also, actually compared to hotels, Airbnb, there are not much people also. Because I think people also get bored of it. It's the novelty factor set off. Then you realize that actually all these facilities like nothing.
Yeah.
Very common thing.
I also think like the whole lifestyle thing sometimes is about image, right? I have a friend who is a businessman who told me, and he's very savvy in numbers. He told me that he bought a condo in River Valley as compared to another condo in the outskirts of Singapore. And even though he knows that the one that is in the so-called suburbs, right, can make more money, have more appreciation, he chose to buy the condo in River Valley that has less appreciation because there is some form of prestige. You know, when you go to business meetings, you go to like all these business associations and people say, oh, where do you stay? You say, I stay in River Valley. Like some business people feel that there's value in you know,
your postal code.
Yeah, in your postal code. So if you really see the value in that, I cannot personally confirm because I don't stay in River Valley or Orchard or Mount Sophia or whatever. But I think there are a lot of people who really buy into the idea that where you stay can kind of increase your perceived value, which is, a reason why some people might choose to upgrade.
Okay. I haven't heard of that, but I know for business address, yes. Not really for residential though. But coming back, I think most of this audience want to know, how does upgrading really build your wealth? I think we really need to deep dive into this point. Because so far what we discussed are all like the vanity metrics, how you display yourself to other people. But really, if you really want to build wealth, you want to gain your financial freedom through property, right? How can upgrading help us?
So I think generally now we're talking about asset progression, right? Every time the property agent or like people in real estate, they tell you about upgrading, they always use this term like asset progression. So what exactly is asset progression? One of the reasons why people upgrade from a HDB to a condo is because that the widening price gap between public housing and private housing is true. If you go and look at the data, the price gap between HDBs and private housing is widening. And yes, there are market up, market down periods, but it is widening. So if you're someone that is keen on using your property as one of your main wealth growing vehicles, then staying in a private property will more likely get you more appreciation over the years than a HDB, leasehold to leasehold.
Yeah. And even talking about the same percentage wise, a larger quantum on your private property will yield a much bigger quantum amount. We are talking absolute dollars, even using just the same percentage. So that's why some people really favor private property investments. And that's the reason why the gap is also widening as well. More people are really looking into private condos if they have the means and capacity to.
Correct. Yeah. So I also would like to kind of reiterate one of the points that we talked about in the previous video is that yes, it does potentially give you a higher return, but if you kill yourself over it and your mortgage is so high that you come to a point where your property gets repossessed by the bank because you cannot pay your mortgage, then the whole idea of upgrading doesn't make sense anymore.
Which kind of reminds me that now that there are so many $1 million HDB flats, but condos, they are also in the $1 million range. Is there like a sweet spot where one should consider a smaller quantum condo over like $1 million HDB? Is there like a case?
So I think everybody's situation is different, right? And every market condition, every season in the market is also different. But exactly like what you say, I think there is a sweet spot for certain people who make a certain amount of money that actually buying your condo makes more sense than buying a HDB. So I'll give you a recent example that me and my partners, we were working with a client. So the client was actually looking at a 3-room HDB, roughly around the 750k quantum. So nowadays, most resale HDB are already 3-room, right? Already at the 700k, even 800k quantum, right? So it's already quite expensive, right? Especially in the better locations. So there are some situations, like for example, this client and a friend that we're working with, they're looking at 3-room quantum roughly about 750k. So if you go and see, right, some of the more prime locations like Circuit Road, they're all around 760, even 800, people listed at 800,000. So if you think about it, if you go and look at some of the recently TOP condos, right, some of them, 2-bed, 1-bath, they're selling at less than $1 million, about 900 plus K. So if you think about it, you just top up another 200k, you get a private property that has a similar amount of years left in the lease, but because it's a private asset, the potential appreciation is much higher just for that additional 200k. right? And you're not even paying additional 200K because that's the purchase price. You don't forget that you still have your loan, you can, like your mortgage and everything. Yes, your mortgage will be slightly higher. Yes, your down payment will be higher because for condo versus HDB, there's your TDSR and MSR difference. But for just 200K more, you can own a private asset rather than a HDB. It is actually not a terrible idea. It's really worth considering.
Yeah, I think this is really a valid point that some of you, maybe instead of looking at another HDB, you can look at condo at a less convenient location, perhaps. But ultimately, if asset growth, asset progression is what you want, then you can consider this idea lah. But I also want to touch on one thing that people kind of unsure or maybe forget, something called home equity loan or cash out refinance. I think you're more expert in that. Can you really explain to us how does this really work for home equity kind of thing?
I think what you're talking about might not always apply to people in this age group, because people usually take that as an option when you have fully paid off your property, right? So it's not unlike people using assets as collateral to cash out, right? If you are very familiar with the whole Robert Kiyosaki thing, like Rich Dad Poor Dad, like he believed in, like
your home is not an asset.
Something like that, right? And but if all of your money is stuck in one asset, in this case a home, that could be a strategy that you can sort of cash out without liquidating, right? But I don't think it's super relevant to a lot of the people in our age group who is still on our wealth growing journey, our wealth building journey. This is more of I would say, you're nearing retirement and you're nearing a point where you have worked very hard. You want to enjoy all the assets that you have built. It's time to look at what to liquidate, what to keep. Then that becomes a consideration.
Okay.
Yeah. Even in HDBs, right? Like just now we were talking, there is a similar concept known as the lease buyback scheme, right? Which is to help you cash out of your house without really cashing out. But this lease buyback scheme only applies to people who are above 65 and you must be of a certain income level. Your income cannot exceed a certain amount and you must meet certain conditions. So you basically sell your lease back to the HDB, but you get to continue staying in there. But every month, HDB gives you like a reverse mortgage like that. Yeah, similar to the private one.
Okay, but I would guess so much more restrictions compared to the private one, just like what we discussed. Alright, so far we have go through the reasonings that you should upgrade your HDB at least to a condo. But what are some reasons that you should not upgrade? I think we will cover that in the next episode. And if you want to reach out to JJ for your property consultation and maybe looking at your next upgraded property, then you can contact him via the details down below. Also, if you are considering to do property investments in Singapore, then I'll walk through with you some considerations that we have discussed in a previous video right here.